Welcome to Living from the Inside Out with Holly Wade. Living from the Inside Out is about living fully, guided from your inside. Holly shares the wisdom of how your mind, body, and spirit are truly connected and that you deep down know your own answers. Holly and her guests will provide tips, practices, and inspirational stories to help you approach your life from your own heart. And here's Holly.
Hi, everyone. This is Holly with Holly Wade Wellness. Thanks so much for joining this week's episode of Living from the Inside Out. Last week, I talked about malnutrition because most of us actually are. We really don't get the nutrition that we need in our modern world. We're eating on the go. We're eating high-fat diets. We're eating lots of sugar. We're eating low fiber, and we're really missing out on the nutritional aspects that our body needs in order to function optimally. So if you'd like more information on that, just go to last week's episode and you can learn a little more about nutrition and how to balance your body with food. What is it that you actually need and why? So this week, let's dive a little deeper into that. And we're going to actually talk about the gut. Hippocrates is known as the father of modern medicine. He was a Greek physician, so ancient Greece, like around 400 something BC-ish. But the thing that he is quoted for saying that I really want to kind of use for this week's episode, just to kind of launch us. He's the one known for saying all disease begins in the gut. The ancient world was onto something. And this is what fascinates me. I feel like the ancient world really understood the body so much better than we do in our modern day. We're just so on the go. And what's fascinating is that our science is confirming what they knew without all of this technology. They trusted the technology of their body and what was around them. And they really observed the interaction between life and their own life within their body, in the vessel of their body. The ancient world talked about, or they knew and understood the gut as the second brain, which is really fascinating. And if you think about it, it's true. Like when you get nervous, where do you feel that? When you're under distress or when you're stressed out, what happens in your gut? Does it shut down? Do you get constipated? Do you get diarrhea? What happens when you're nervous or excited? Where do you feel that? Excitement feels about the same as feeling nervous, but there's a little difference. There's a really subtle difference in that. What happens when you stuff your emotions? Where does that start to express itself? When you need comfort, do you turn to food? There's so much interplay between our digestive system and stress. And our body understands that when we're stressed, blood flow is actually going to go to our muscles to fight or flight, because that's more important than being at our organs. And then when we come down from a distressed state, it'll go back to our organs. That's why people vomit after, or that's why they'll have a breakdown or just have an accident or something. But that's part of it. It's because our body is so intelligently designed that it knows what is a priority. So we're going to dive into this a little bit. Let's talk about physiology, so the physical. Let's talk about the emotional, and let's talk about the spiritual aspects of the gut. And I kind of touched on those in the intro. So since I kind of touched on the emotional, let's continue with that. So if you feel symptoms like heartburn, is there someone or something that is burning at your heart? They're usually anger or stress related. If you're really angry, how's your liver? If you've had gallbladder issues, what's got your gall? Because all of those organs are also part of our digestive system. Now, not everything is going to be because it's emotional, but about 80 or 90% of our distress, the thoughts in our brain will lead to distress in our gut. And so when we can start to discern what's going on, we understand the interplay between the two. So let's talk about the physiology. When your gut's healthy, you have the ability to absorb nutrients and eliminate toxins appropriately and keep out the allergens. Your body will regulate hormones. Your gut, did you know that your gut produces other vitamins? It does. And then your gut's going to have general healing compounds, not just in itself, it will heal itself, but then you have the ability to heal, like a cut or a scrape in your body. Those bruises will start to heal because you've got the nutrition that you need. Everything's working in the gut just the way it's supposed to. If you think about it, that's the first place that nutrition goes, right? It goes, we eat our foods, we chew it, and then it goes down the esophagus into the stomach where it's broken down with acid, which, by the way, is so potent that if it touched your skin, it would burn a hole in your skin. That's how acidic it is. And it's that important. And then it goes down into the small intestine where we absorb. The liver and gallbladder are used for detoxification and to get bile into your gut. And then the large intestine is the eliminator, right? That's where we get rid of waste in the body or from the body. It's going to travel through that large intestine and we expel those old cells. We expel nutrients that we don't need. We expel nutrients that have been utilized so that metabolism has happened, and then we've got waste product. And when everything's working optimally, everything is we're eliminating those toxins. Now, what's really fascinating is that in our gut, we have this microbiome. We have this ecology. And it's a really delicate system. And if you think about like a pond, when it gets overgrown with moss, what happens? That moss takes over. And the fish begin to die because the pH changes. Your gut is no different. We have over 400, actually, if you can imagine that, different bacteria. And most of them are beneficial. And that's what we want to keep stable. And when those bad bugs start to take over, so things like parasites, things like yeast, things like just other bacteria that's bad, when they take over, you might experience things like gas or bloating or digestive discomfort, indigestion. And this is just the physiological. This isn't the emotional. This is just the physiological, what is happening in the body. So when those bad bacteria start to take over, it's kind of like the moss on a pond. And then it makes it harder for your intestines to absorb those vitamins and minerals, and that leads to deficiencies. Now, this is what else starts to happen. This is really fascinating to me. There is one cell separating that ecosystem from your immune system, so from your bloodstream. One lining of cells, and it's really it's pretty strong, and yet think about it. Think about when something takes over. So when these bad bugs, these bad bacteria, parasites, candida, whatever the case may be, grab a foothold, they start to kind of create damage in that gut lining. And when it breaks through, your immune system is going to respond, right? It's going to come up and your T cells are going to attack the bad guts, the bad bugs. And when those, so this is going to create inflammation in your gut. But if those bad things break through and penetrate into your bloodstream, this is called leaky gut syndrome. This is when you're in trouble. This is when it leads to toxicity because you've got these things entering your bloodstream that you don't want there. So we have inflammation going throughout the body, leading to other symptoms and other things that are actually going on. And these are the symptoms that often medicine looks at, and sometimes they can't quite figure out what's going on in your body. What we're starting to learn is that this is the precursor to autoimmunes. This is the precursor to an awful lot of disease. And if we can capture or re-strengthen the gut and heal the gut, we can turn that ship around and create health again in the body. Now, how does our diet impact this? Well, that highly processed stuff, the sugar that we eat, that's what those bad bugs thrive on. They love those things. So when we're eating this modern diet that we have, this on-the-go lifestyle, those bugs are craving it. So here's the question for you. Is it you that's craving that? Or is it them? And you're continuing to feed them without knowing it. So then we add toxicity from our environment already. So we add more toxicity or more toxins into our bodies and more emotional distress, lack of digestive enzymes, and we've got this perfect storm to breed disease. Now, I'm not going to say that every disease starts this way because that's not, there are other factors like genetics that play into this. But a lot of things can be, we can be more proactive in our health just by understanding our gut and taking care of it on a deeper level. So can you start to understand how important it is to tend to your gut and why I'm so passionate about nutrition, for one? But it goes deeper. The ancient world called the gut the second brain. I talked about this. Now, what's fascinating is that we've understood, or we now know, that there is a nerve that runs from the base of your brain to kind of your mid-back area, so your digestive system area. It's called the vagus nerve. It's the longest nerve in your body. And this is what we know, or what we call the enteric nervous system. Your gut has its own nervous system. It's not solely reliant on your central nervous system. So the central nervous system is the one that's going to send signals under distress, or that's going to keep your organs moving and functioning. When we're under distress, that's the central nervous system that's kicking into gear. Now, the autonomic nervous system is what makes our muscles move and respond. Now, the enteric nervous system is solely for the digestive system. That's that gut feeling. That it's kind of a primal nervous system. It's kind of that primal thing, so that we sense something before our brain can actually process it. Now, can you see the wisdom in survival with that? It's kind of fascinating. So there's this extensive superhighway in the vagus nerve of chemicals and hormones and neurons, so the nervous system, that's trying to maintain balance and communication between the brain and the gut. So this is why those thoughts will create these reactions in the gut, right? This is why when I think, oh, I've got to do this and this and this and this and this, it starts to create this fear response in me. And my gut will start to shut down because that's what it does under distress. It sends blood flow to the arms and the legs to take us into fight or flight. Now, it's also why when we just have a feeling about someone or something, our gut will give us that little bing and tell us, hey, respond. Hey, this is the thing. This is what you need to do. It's kind of this inner knowing, this inner compass. So here's some fascinating facts. At least it fascinates me. You have 100 million neurons, more than anywhere else in the body, just in your gut. And again, the design of your body is so brilliant that the enteric nervous system will operate on its own. So think about it in this way. If something happens and your spinal cord is damaged, if there's damage to your spine, your gut is still going to be able to digest. Maybe not to optimal. It doesn't mean that there isn't damage, but it means that your gut can still digest. And here's another fascinating thing. Like, this is where it gets interesting. Like, this all fascinates me. So it's not just one-way communication from the brain to gut. There's also communication from the gut to the brain. It goes both ways. So if your gut is off balance, because the same chemicals that are in your brain are also in your gut. So serotonin and dopamine, those things that help us to keep our mood in balance. And food, by the way, or nutrition, by the way, can help to balance those things if we have this chemistry that's out of whack. But our brain also understands when that gut bacteria is off. It's going to tell you to get a snack or eat something. When your gut flora is off, when you have this overload of parasites, this overload of candida, it's not just going to throw off your inner world, but it's going to also impact your perception of the outer world. How crazy is that? This is why gut health is so important. And if we start with the foundation of just healing the gut with those tools that we know how to, with nutrition, with learning how to deal with stress, with learning how to deal with emotion, we can take care of a lot of things. Because our gut doesn't just digest food, it's also digesting emotion. And I talked about those questions before. When you have indigestion, it's a fear response. What are you not digesting? When you feel nauseous, what is it that's making you feel like it just wants to come back up, like you just want to vomit it up? What is it that's happening in your world that you're perceiving that's also impacting your gut and impacting how you feel about things? And if you don't take the time to process that emotion, it's going to stay somewhere in you. Now, in yoga, here's the spiritual part. That third chakra happens to be your gut. I talk about chakras in one of my earlier, one of my very first podcasts. So you can go back and read or listen to it. Read it. You can listen to it and learn more about the chakras if you're interested. But the third chakra is the gut, and it's the seat of your soul. We understand it as the seat of your soul. It's your power center. It's where you reside. It's your place of knowing. It's your intuition. And it makes sense, right? When you really sit with what is going on in your gut and what your gut is telling you, between your gut and your heart is where you'll find your answer. Now, what causes this distress in our bodies? What continues to damage our gut? Well, it's our modern world, this pace of life that we have, and a lot of lifestyle things, as I talked about earlier, create the distress in our guts. The lack of food, the lack of real food, and eating highly processed, highly sugar, highly high fat, like the trans fats, which come from processed things, and not eating a lot of fiber to help push that stuff through. Our medication does damage to our gut. Our stress levels do damage to our gut. Our distractions put stress on our gut. This go, 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 do, 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 be, be, without knowing how to be, creates distress and turmoil in our inner world. And anytime there's turmoil in the inner world, it's damaging our gut. So what do we do with it? Or what do we do about it? Nutrition is really, really important. And we've got to cut out the sugar. We've got to cut out that processed food. And for a while, we really have to be diligent to just focus on some protein, lots of vegetables, eliminating sugar from fruits too for a while. Lots of really healthy bone broth, digestive enzymes, some fat, some good high quality fat like coconut oil, olive oil, avocado, nuts, if your gut can handle that. If it's not at the stage where it can handle that, then don't eat those things yet. If you have an irritable bowel disease, you might not be able to handle nuts and seeds. So you can eat those in other ways. But eating those kinds of things are helpful. Learning to manage your stress. Because you can change that rewiring. You can change what's going on with the stories in your head and how you respond to them. Because here's a little secret. Most of the thoughts that come up really don't need our attention, but we think they do. Most of the people in our lives, it's not that we don't value them, it's not that we don't love them, but they really don't need the attention that we think they do. So a lot of the things that we give our energy to, maybe we can reevaluate and we can relearn how to deal with that. Setting boundaries around your health and your life is critical, and maybe not knowing the path, not having to have every detail laid out, having flexibility within the path, but knowing your purpose, knowing where that end goal is, knowing that vision, that greater vision for your life, which is that soulful living, right? Getting to know all of those things helps to heal your gut and to heal your life. I've become involved with a company called Yoli, and I'm really, really pleased with the results that I'm getting from it because I thought I was doing really well. And interestingly, I needed some deeper nutritional healing in my gut. And the system is really, really easy to follow. It's 4 supplements. And then the food program is like, you're not eliminating carbs completely. You're not eliminating fruit. So it's sustainable. You have 4 protein days, 3 carb days. And what it has done for me is why I fully endorse it. And if you're interested in learning more about my 4-week reboot for your health, this is where we include Yoli and some coaching around some lifestyle behaviors for your physical body. Because what I've learned is that when we start to heal the gut, then we can deal with the other things. But until we deal with the physical, we can't deal with the emotional. Now, what are some signs maybe that you need some healing, that the gut is being impacted? Well, take a look at your nails. Are they brittle? Do you have spots? Do you have dark circles under your eyes? Do you have acne? Those are all signals or symptoms or signs that something is off in your gut. Is your skin dull? Do you notice that cuts or bruises aren't healing as quickly? Now, some of that happens with age, but they should still heal. They should still disappear fairly quickly. And if they're taking longer, something's going on. Are you gaining weight, but you haven't really changed anything in your lifestyle? That's a sign that there's inflammation in your body and that you need some deeper help. And when we reduce the inflammation in the body, you're probably going to lose weight or at least change your body composition. Does your body ache? That's usually a sign of toxicity, which is a sign that there's something going on in the gut. Are you bloated, gassy? Do you notice food particles in your poop? So let's talk poop for a moment. I know, how many podcasts do you get that on? But while we're on it, let's talk it. Because if they are not full and kind of floating and easy to pass, something's going on. If they're really, really hard, you're constipated. You need more fiber and you need more water. And you probably need some digestive enzymes. If they're really runny, you need more fiber. That's a problem too. If they're really dark in color, that's old. It's old fecal matter that's coming out, and there may be some traces of blood. So if it's tar-like, then your gut has been damaged and you're not eliminating. If food is not broken down, there's something going on in your gut. Now, I talk this stuff because it's really important to understand. Like, we pay attention to our babies. Like, they eat, sleep, poop. Eat, sleep, poop. And it is a constant as they grow up. Well, as an adult, we should be eliminating 1 to 3 times a day. As many times as we eat, we should be eliminating. It should be a daily activity, not weekly, not 14 days. So we need to get your body regulated. And the system will help to do that because there's probiotics, there are B complex vitamins to give you energy. There's a protein that is going to sustain and give you all the amino acids that your body needs. And then there's an alkali to keep your body in an alkalized state so that the acidity in your body is not further breeding the bad bacteria in your body. And then we can add enzymes because you probably need that too. So my 12-week Lifetime Warrior program is where we're going to learn these things. In the first 4 weeks, we're going to pay attention to our body. If you're only interested in those first 4 weeks, that is doable too. We can do a body reboot. Now, the next 4 weeks is when we go into that mind-body connection. How are your thoughts playing into your gut health? Do you know how to feel, or are you afraid to feel those emotions and really let them go through you? We're going to work through that. so that you get to know and understand you better, not just physically, not just get to know your body, but get to know your emotions. What scares you and why? Why are you stressed out over this? Okay, because the answer is in the tension. It's always going to guide you to the answer. And then we're going to go into that soulful place of, what's your purpose? And it's likely not your occupation. A few of us get to allow our occupation to be a part of our purpose. But maybe your purpose is to help people feel seen and noticed. Maybe your purpose is to serve people. But we'll pay attention to our purpose and our vision, and then we're going to practice setting boundaries around our health and our life, because no one else is going to do it for us. And it's that important, because we can't live out our purpose if we don't take care of our health, right? We can't do what we're supposed to do if we're not taking care of our body, if we're not taking care of our emotions. So for 12 weeks, for 3 months, you really dive into every layer of that. If you're interested in this, if this has your attention and you'd like a 30-minute session so that we can dive in and answer your questions and come up with a solution for you that you can put into practice right now, email me at holly@hollywade.wellness and put Lifetime Warrior in the subject line. See, your health and your life really does begin at the gut. It really is the seat of your soul, and it really is your second brain. And that day-to-day stuff is what's going to help you to create health. My role is to educate and inform you and to inspire you and to help you to feel confident that you know exactly what to do. And it's okay to ask questions when you don't, and that there are plenty of resources out there to guide you through it, including me. So if you're interested in the Body Reboot or Lifetime Warrior, please email me at holly@hollywade.wellness. You can follow me on Facebook, where I share these little tidbits. And let's get you on the path to health and vibrancy, because you got a lot of life to live, right? And you might as well feel good and enjoy the ride while you're doing it. Thanks for joining this week's episode of Living from the Inside Out. I hope you'll hop on next week, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, and then share with your friends if you think that they can benefit from today's episode. Thanks so much and have a great week.
Thank you for joining us at Living from the Inside Out. Listen every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. To connect with Holly, just go to www.globalvoiceradio.com. Global Voice Radio is where your voice and your message is heard.